What's going on, Packers Nation? Victor here, and today we're talking about two potential moves that could seriously shake the foundation of this roster. And I'm not being dramatic, because one involves a $68 million veteran starter who has been one of the most versatile and dependable pieces of this offensive line for years, and the other involves a young dual-threat quarterback who might be walking straight into a starting opportunity with an AFC rival. Yeah, this is big. Let's start with the trenches. There's a legitimate proposal out there suggesting Green Bay could trade a longtime interior offensive lineman, a former second-round pick who started 94 games since 2019, to free up nearly $20 million in cap space. This is a player who has lined up at left guard, center, and even tackle when needed, a glue guy, a tone setter, the kind of lineman you don't notice until he's gone. But here's the cold reality: he carries a $24. $3 million cap hit in 2026, and the Packers are currently sitting over the cap. Moving him would instantly create flexibility that could be used to address the biggest needs on this roster. We all saw the struggles at center last season when he was asked to switch positions before suffering a lower leg fracture. The performance dipped, the consistency wasn't the same. So now the front office faces a brutal question: do you keep the veteran presence and absorb the cap hit? Or do you flip him for draft compensation, reset the interior, and use that money elsewhere? Because that money could fund something big. And speaking of big decisions, let's talk about the quarterback room. There's a young signal caller on this roster, mobile, athletic, raw but intriguing, who is suddenly one of the most talked about names in a weak free agent QB class. He's only started 6 games in 4 seasons. That's the risk. But in limited action behind Jordan Love, he protected the football, flashed playmaking ability, and showed real growth. Now one AFC East rival is being labeled as a best fit for him. A team with explosive weapons like Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane, plus a coaching staff with former Green Bay ties. If he signs there and breaks out, we're gonna hear about it every single Sunday. But here's the bigger picture. If the Packers move on from the veteran lineman to open cap space, and that young quarterback leaves in free agency, this team will look very different in 2026. More flexible financially, younger in key spots, but also thinner in experience. So I need to know, Packers Nation, are you comfortable reshaping the core to chase cap flexibility? Or do you value stability and depth, especially on the offensive line and at quarterback? This isn't just off-season noise. These are identity-level decisions. Before we break down the cap math, roster ripple effects, and what this means for Green Bay's championship window, smash that like button. And if you're a real Packers fan, subscribe to Packers Nation Report right now. We're pushing toward 2,000 subscribers, and I want the diehards with us, the ones who care about trenches, contracts, and long-term vision. Alright, let's unpack what could be one of the boldest offseasons in recent Packers history. There's a proposed trade out there that would have the Green Bay Packers dealing veteran offensive lineman Elton Jenkins to the Los Angeles Chargers for a 2026 4th-round pick. Yeah, Elton Jenkins, one of the most versatile linemen we've had in the last decade. Let's break this down calmly, because emotionally, this one hits. Jenkins has 1 year left on his 4-year, $68 million extension. In 2026, he carries a $24.3 million cap hit. If the Packers trade him, they could save around $20 million against the cap. And right now, according to SpotRack, Green Bay is more than $6 million over the salary cap as of March 2. So financially, the math makes sense. But football isn't just math. Jenkins started 9 games at center last season before suffering a lower leg fracture. And let's be honest, the transition to center didn't go smoothly. He looked out of rhythm at times. The communication wasn't always clean. The anchor wasn't as dominant as we're used to seeing from him at guard. But let's not rewrite history. Since week 3 of his rookie season in 2019, Jenkins has started every game he's dressed for. That's 94 career starts. He's played left guard. He's played center. He's played right tackle. He's even filled in at multiple spots in the same season. That kind of versatility? That's rare. That's value. Now here's where this gets strategic. If the Packers want to make a splash at center this offseason, which many analysts believe they will, they either need to move Jenkins back to guard or move on entirely. And if you're trying to open cap space to re-sign key free agents and possibly add impact players in free agency, a $20 million cap savings is significant. Bleacher Report's proposal says the Chargers, who have about $85, $5 million in cap space could absorb the contract, and from their perspective, protecting Justin Herbert would be the priority. But from our perspective, you're giving up leadership, experience, versatility, and those things matter in January. Now let's zoom out. The Packers need cap space. That's reality. They have key players to re-sign on both sides of the ball. They might want to add help at defensive tackle and cornerback. You can't do that without financial flexibility. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler also mentioned Jenkins as a potential trade candidate because of his large cap hit and value around the league. So this isn't random noise. There's smoke here. The real debate is this: do you keep a 30-year-old veteran lineman at a $24? $3 million cap number after a down year at center? Or do you flip him for draft capital, clear $20 million in space, and reallocate those resources? From my perspective as a fan, if Jenkins were still playing at Pro Bowl level at guard, I'd say no chance. But at center, after the injury, at that cap hit, it becomes a real conversation, and here's the part that hurts. If he gets traded, it's not because he's bad. It's because the NFL is ruthless with the salary cap. I want to hear from you, Packers Nation. Would you trade Elton Jenkins for a 4th-round pick to save $20 million? Or is his leadership and versatility too important to this offense? Would you rather restructure his deal instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have this debate. Alright, Packers Nation, we've got a conversation today that might make some of you uncomfortable because it involves a former first-round talent, a quarterback with unreal athleticism, and the possibility of him leaving Green Bay. We're talking about Malik Willis, and now one NFL analyst is naming a division rival of the Patriots as the best fit to sign him this offseason. Before we dive in, if you love real, passionate Packers coverage and you want this channel to hit that huge milestone of 2,000 subscribers, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and join the Packers Nation Report family. Let's grow this thing together. Now let's talk about what's going on. The rumor: Dolphins name best fit for Malik Willis. According to Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox, the Miami Dolphins could be an ideal landing spot for Malik Willis this offseason. Let that sink in. A rival of the New England Patriots potentially scooping up a Packers quarterback. Now first, context matters. This year's quarterback free agent class, weak. The draft pool at QB, not exactly inspiring either. So when you look at the market, Malik Willis actually becomes one of the more intriguing names available, and that says a lot. Why would Miami be interested? Knox pointed to a few key things. Even though Miami's offense isn't what it once was, they still have explosive playmakers like Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane. That's real speed. Real big playability. Now imagine pairing that with a quarterback who can extend plays, threaten defenses with his legs, and stress linebackers in the RPO game. That's where Willis becomes interesting. Miami also brought in offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, who comes from the Shanahan tree. And yes, even though Slowick was let go after 2024, we can't ignore what he did with CJ Stroud during his rookie season. AFC South title, Offensive Rookie of the Year, immediate impact. That system is QB friendly. It builds confidence. It creates easy reads. For a developmental quarterback like Willis, that matters. The Packers' connection to Miami. And here's where things get even more interesting. There are familiar faces in Miami. Former Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley is now their head coach. And former Packers VP of Player Personnel John Eric Sullivan is the Dolphins' general manager. That's not coincidence. They know Malik Willis. They've seen him in meetings, in practice, in the building. They understand his strengths and weaknesses better than most organizations would. If anyone would feel comfortable taking that gamble, it might be them. Let's be honest about Willis now, Packers Nation. We've got to keep this real. Malik Willis has started just 6 games in 4 seasons. 6. That's not a big sample size. That's not a proven resume. He's flashed elite athleticism, big arm, explosive running ability, but the consistency, the processing, the timing, still a question mark. And whichever team signs him is taking on risk. This isn't a plug him in and you're a contender move. This is a developmental bet. What does this mean for Green Bay? Now here's where I want to bring this back to us. If the Packers let Willis walk, what does that say? It likely means the front office is fully comfortable with their current QB depth situation. It means they don't see Willis as a long-term number 2 or developmental future asset. And financially, moving on from a backup QB is minimal impact, but strategically, that's where it gets interesting. Because in today's NFL, mobility at quarterback is more valuable than ever. Injuries happen, seasons can swing in 1 week. Are we sure we're ready to let that kind of athletic upside go? Or has the staff already decided he's not progressing fast enough? That's the real question. Could Miami unlock him? Let's play devil's advocate. In a Shanahan-style offense built on play action, bootlegs, half-field reads, and timing routes, could Willis thrive? Maybe. If you simplify his reads, lean into RPO concepts, and let him threaten defenses vertically off movement, you might unlock something. And if that happens in Miami, we're gonna hear about it non-stop, because that's how it works. My take as a Packers fan, here's where I stand. I like Malik Willis's upside. I love his athletic profile. But after 4 years and only 6 starts, you have to ask, if it was going to click here, wouldn't we have seen more progress by now? Sometimes a change of scenery helps, sometimes it doesn't. If Miami signs him, they're betting on development. If Green Bay lets him go, they're betting on evaluation, and I trust our front office. But I also know this, quarterback depth is never something to ignore. Final thoughts, Packers Nation, I want to hear from you. If the Dolphins call, do you let Malik Willis walk? Do you think he could become something elsewhere? Or is this just another backup QB rumor that won't move the needle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate it. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to Packers Nation Report, and help us hit that massive goal of 2,000 subscribers. We're building something special here. Real fans, real analysis, no fluff. This is Victor, and as always, go Pack Go!